I wish so bad that I knew this 2 years ago. It would have changed my life. Growth hormone is essential for muscle preservation. And I remember one time I went keto and I lost like 25, 30 pounds. And when I did this, I was like looking at myself in the mirror thinking, why do I still look fat? Like I don't look better. Like I'm smaller, but I still look chubby and fat. And it's because when you lose weight, you typically can't just say, well, I'm only going to choose fat. What ends up happening is you're in a caloric deficit. Your body is trying to survive. And so it starts eating your muscle and your fat and getting rid of it. So you could lose as much to 20, 40% of your weight could come from muscle. So I'm going to show you guys evidence-based strategies to protect lean mass during an aggressive cut. And the reason this is important is because it's going to do two things. It's going to change your goal. You're no longer trying to lose weight. You're trying to lose fat. The secondary thing that it's going to do is allow you to have some real mental peace and clarity because you'll realize that your scale is not really telling you the full picture. Yes, there are things like the Hume scale, et cetera, out there that will give you a little bit of a picture telling you if you're losing lean mass or if you're losing fat. But the reality is that these things are inaccurate. In fact, I was a little dehydrated the last 2 days. And because it looked like I was dehydrated on the scale, the electroimpedance doesn't move through your body quite as fast because you don't have as much water, which water it moves through fast. So it made it look like my body fat went up 3%. Well, yesterday I was just feeling a little tired and weak and sluggish. And so I ended up realizing I haven't been drinking enough water. I had 3 Stanleys of water with electrolytes. So my weight actually goes up a little bit because, water weighs has weight to it. Get on the scale, boom, back down to 17.5% body fat is what it's saying, which I doubt is even 100% accurate. Those scales are not accurate. But the point is that our new goal is to recomp. If you're a bodybuilder, maybe you're trying to bulk, maybe you're trying to cut. But for many of us, we're trying to lose fat. And even if you're not trying to lose fat, you're just trying to bulk, this is going to help you because when you are in a bulk, you want to try to build muscle, not fat. So this is going to help you. It's going to make it easier for you when you go into a cut again in the future. So why growth hormone matters during a cut is because when you're in that caloric deficit, it triggers muscle loss. So if you're on like a GLP-1, for instance, if you're on semaglutide or tirzepatide, which is popularly known as like Wegovy, Ozempic, tirzepatide is Zepbound, etc., which are like the old school versions of GLP-1s. Just wait till you see retatrutide and what this is doing. I'll probably make a video on this because it's just absolutely incredible. You risk lean mass because they get you in such a caloric deficit. They are doing those current FDA approved GLP-1s do absolutely nothing really to preserve your lean mass. And I just want to say before we continue on, not a doctor. Don't listen to any of my advice. I'm just an idiot wearing a Smokey the Bear shirt who has absolutely nothing smart or intelligent to say to you today. This is all just for entertainment purposes because that's what we like to do. Anyways, most people are losing strength while they're getting lighter. That's just a reality of it. But the solution is there's multiple solutions. One would be eat high protein. So, but we're not going to talk. There's 2 that I'm going to mention real quick, but they're not what this video focuses on. Eat high protein. So 1 to 2 grams of protein per lean body mass, and also stimulate your muscles. Be working out. If you're not working out and you're not contracting those muscles, your body thinks you don't need them. So those are the 2 hands down quickest things you can do. But then the other one, which is what I want to focus on this video, is growth hormone, because it's going to preserve muscle during an aggressive cut. Now, when I started learning about growth hormone before I got into the peptides and before I started utilizing that, I knew that my largest pulse was at night. And so I started focusing on just improving my sleep, getting better sleep. So I was taking GABA. I was taking, I had a whole stack of things, L-arginine. I was taking magnesium. I also had in there glycine and a couple other things. And they work to an extent, but it is nowhere near as potent as CJC-1295 with Ipamorelin. If you get the blend, I like the no DAC version. They work synergistically perfectly together because it helps you to get a higher pulse. It helps you get a higher IGF-1 levels, which is going to increase your metabolism. It's going to protect your metabolism, and it's going to keep your strength. Now, I want to quickly state that the goal of having growth hormone, one of the main goals, is to increase your IGF-1 levels. That's where a lot of the real benefits come from. And the IGF-1 levels come up from the liver. So your growth hormone only stays in your body like 20 to 30 minutes. It triggers your liver to create IGF-1. And once those IGF-1 levels are elevated, they'll stay elevated for several hours. And so you can get overlapping IGF-1 levels to keep a steady state of IGF-1 in your body all the time. Some people, yeah, but isn't that cancer causing? Only if you already have cancer. It doesn't cause the cancer, but it could expedite it. So yes, don't do a growth hormone protocol if you currently have cancer. But if that's the case, you're probably not watching this video, because if you have cancer, you're probably not trying to lose weight or do something. You're trying to fix your cancer and detox and all of that stuff. So I don't know if I even need to state that. It's irrelevant for me to state that at this point. With that said, we raise our IGF-1 levels. Boom, this is where we're going to get a lot of our benefits. We're going to have muscle composition, all of these things. So let's get to our next slide. There's 3 reasons why we lose muscle. One is natural aging. So 3 to 8% muscle loss per decade after 30. Isn't that incredible? You think about a lot of our friends that we know that are older. What ends up happening? They get older. At some point in their life, 70s, 80s, they fall, and it's a downward spiral from there. This means that they have declining growth hormone, declining IGF-1 and testosterone. Actually, it doesn't mean that. That's what causes them to have this muscle loss. That's one of the reasons why. So if we can increase our growth hormone, we can increase our IGF-1, and this can actually naturally raise our testosterone, because as we increase our muscle, etc., we're going to increase our testosterone. Now, when you're in a caloric deficit, your body enters what some call survival mode. Muscle burns calories, and now it's seen as optional. Think about it this way. Your uncle loses his job, and he has to move in with the family, and he is eating all the food in the fridge. He's hogging the TV, and you feel like you can't get away from him. He is optional. This guy has got to go. Your muscles are metabolically expensive. So your body's not getting enough food, but yet your calories, but yet your muscles are burning it all up. It's saying, hey, we're not going to survive at this rate. Something's got to go. And so it starts cannibalizing and eating away at all of your muscles. So this is important, because we need to make sure that the fuel shifts to prioritizing fat as fuel instead of muscle, which we'll talk about in a minute. And then also hormonal shifts. So having high cortisol is another one. It's going to blunt your growth hormone. So that's why one of the reasons why having even glycine and magnesium and these things are so good to take at night, because if you have high cortisol, it makes your sleep dull. It's going to make it hard for you to release good growth hormone. I don't know why my bar keeps popping up like that. Okay. So what growth hormone actually does? Growth hormone is your body's tissue preservation system. So it's not just for bodybuilders, because everybody naturally has growth hormone. Your body pulses it 10 to 20 times a day anyways. That's not something that only happens if you're a bodybuilder. It increases your protein synthesis, which is what builds and repairs muscle tissue efficiently. It boosts collagen production, which is what protects joints, tendons, connective tissue. It stimulates the IGF-1, as we said, which is the primary anabolic messenger for muscle growth. And then it improves nitrogen retention, which keeps you in an anabolic state, because if you are not, then your muscle is tearing down. And so it helps you to be able to have the right nitrogen balance in your muscles. And then it also forces, and this is one of my favorite ones, fat oxidation first. I said fat oxidation first. Body burns stored fat. So it's going to preserve your lean tissue. I want to just go deep on this for a minute. So when you go to sleep, or primarily when you go to sleep, because your insulin is so low at this point, but even during the day, this happens. When your growth hormone releases, what happens is it will literally empty out fat cells from your body. Think about your fat cell for a minute like a water balloon, and it's filled up with these triglycerides and fatty acids. And it empties those out and says, we're going to use this for fuel while you sleep. Now, as it's released all these fatty acids in you, and it's rolling through your bloodstream, you wake up, and guess what? You still have fatty acids running through your bloodstream until you eat. And then when you spike insulin, boom, immediately those fatty acids get restored and your body starts using your new food for fuel. That is why when I wake up, guess what I do? I wake up, I go to the refrigerator, I take my morning dose of my CJC Ipamorelin, which releases another growth hormone pulse. And now I go take a dump for 15 minutes. I let all of this happen in my body. I let the fatty acids all get released into my blood. Then I go take a 30-minute to 1 hour walk on the treadmill. This is at like 5:36 in the morning before I ever go do my workout. I'm burning off that fuel, and it's a low intensity workout, because if it's low intensity, your body can convert fat to fuel fast enough to use that for your workout. If you start running or jogging, your body's like, oops, we can't convert fat to fuel fast enough because it's a slower burning fuel, and it starts eating away at glycogen stores and muscle tissue. So I do a nice low intensity walk, probably about, for me, 3 miles an hour. That's a nice low intensity pace. And I just watch videos, etc., and do that. Now, after that, I can drink some water, get myself cleaned up, and then I will go have a Greek yogurt with some fruit, get some carbs in me, and I run to the gym. I go do my workout, get a good pump in at the gym, wait another 30 minutes before my post-workout meal. This is a newer thing I've just started. Why do I wait 30 minutes? Because your body gets a nice big growth hormone spike when you work out, and it'll last about 30 minutes after. And if you eat your post-workout meal right away, you're going to spike insulin, and it's going to blunt some of that growth hormone, which means you're not going to get as much IGF-1 and steady state IGF-1 levels in you. And so that's why I do that. Also, you get more fat store, coming out of you, which is going to be great. So everything that I do now in my life, it's pretty much based around how can I make sure that I increase my IGF-1 levels and keep my growth hormone high. And I'm seeing the effects of it. My body's getting leaner, it's getting tighter, and my muscles are growing bigger. So it's just been an incredible focus for me. So I'm not like, oh, I got to lose weight. It's like, no, my goal is to increase my growth hormone and my IGF-1 levels and to optimize my life to keep my muscle. I don't care if I stayed 170 pounds for the next month. If I'm losing 3 pounds of fat and gaining 3 pounds of muscle, that is what I want. That's what I'm ultimately aiming for. Now, for someone who's maybe like, much, much bigger and like, no, I don't want to do that right now. No, you do. You know why? Because as you build muscle, it's going to be easier to lose the fat, because muscle doesn't burn fat, but muscle burns calories, and calories burn fat. So the more muscle you have, the better it'll go. In fact, I know I lost weight relatively fast, because in 7 months, I went from 237 pounds down to 168 pounds. And I'm fortunate that I started working out heavy pretty early on and eating high protein and figuring these things out quick. But if I could go back, one thing I would have done is taken 2 to 3 months to just eat at maintenance and build muscle, because I would be in much better shape right now if I would have done that. Growth hormone during a cut if you're focused on it, is critically different than anything else. Without adequate growth hormone, you're going to lose fat, lose muscle. You're going to have a slower metabolism. I like how my AI photo, the guy's missing his head. So, by the way, just so you guys know, the way that I make these videos, I go into Google Docs, I write up my outline, and I put it into a thing that makes these slides for me with AI, just so I can crank out good stuff fast. So, no, I did not choose the headless AI photo. And also, you can get skinny fat. But with optimal growth hormone, you'll lose fat, preserve lean mass, protect your metabolism. You're going to maintain your strength, and then you're going to stay lean and have a defined physique. So the peptide of my choice is CJC-1295 Ipamorelin, the no DAC version, because I want it to have the natural spikes. The problem is with something, people say, well, why don't you want the DAC? When you have your natural growth hormone pulses, I'm a big fan of enhancing what our body was supposed to do. I don't like personally getting our bodies to do things that they weren't supposed to do. And so it's going to raise our IGF-1 levels without shutting down or diluting our normal systems. And then it's paired with Ipamorelin, which is a clean growth hormone releaser. So you're not going to have big hunger spikes. Some people who do just 1295 no DAC on its own, they get really hungry. The Ipamorelin actually, because of their ghrelin, the Ipamorelin actually blunts a lot of that. I don't really notice my hunger spiking that much. My metabolism does go up, because One thing about the stack that I'm currently taking, which is I personally take enclomiphene, CJC-1295 NODAC with Ipamorelin, and then I take, just natural supplements that are not injectables and stuff like that. But that is going to increase your metabolism by like 7 to 10% on its own. When I started taking that stack, and by the way, I cycle through enclomiphene, but when I started taking that stack, I stayed at the same calories, but I started seeing my weight dropping, my fat dropping specifically. So this is critical if you're on a GLP-1 now. Even if you're on retatrutide, where you're like, well, no, I have the glucagon on it, and so I don't, even though that's true, this is going to help you. Because if you lose 40 pounds on, say, Ozempic or tirzepatide, which is Zepbound, etc., 15 to 20 pounds of that can be from muscle if you don't protect it. And the consequence of that, slower metabolism, loose skin, flat muscles, rebound weight gain, and permanent strength loss. And so CJC Ipamorelin gives you the muscle endurance during rapid fat loss. Now, if you look at the studies of people who took a GLP-1 and how they gained it all back, a lot of these people ate way too low of a deficit. They were all obese and they changed, obviously, otherwise they would have not gone on it, but they changed nothing about their lifestyles. They did not learn how to eat their macros properly. They did not eat high protein. They did not protect their muscle mass. They literally take their injection. They're eating less, so they're losing weight, but they're getting skinny fat. They go off of it. Their hunger spikes terribly. Homeostasis tries to bring them back to where they were. Their ghrelin is absolutely through the roof. And what happens? They start gaining all their weight back. But if they would have been more strategic about it, they paired something like this with it to be able to maintain their muscle, to be able to start eating high protein, start lifting weights, they would have been good. And I know this because I was on Zepbound for about 3 months. And when I went off of it, I've continued to lose fat and I don't feel starved. This is a lifestyle for me. I don't feel at all like I'm deprived of anything. I'm happier than ever, but I've changed everything about my life. I've changed the way I eat. I don't drink alcohol. I'm taking supplements. I'm supplementing for deficiencies. I'm getting blood work every couple months. I'm doing all of these things to take care of myself that I never did before. And so you see these people spike with these things back. Now, some people will say, why would you ever want to get off of it if that's going to happen? They weren't designed to be on forever. They just weren't. Now, maybe for diabetics, they have to stay on it, but we don't know the long-term ramifications of them. But this video is not about a GLP-1. This is about preserving muscle mass. So I'll stop right there. Key takeaways is this: that muscle loss has 3 drivers: aging, caloric deficits, and hormonal shifts. 2, growth hormone preserves the lean mass. So forces fat oxidation first. And because now that fat's in your bloodstream, it's ready to use. It's going to increase repair and protect muscle tissue. And I'll tell you, for me, after doing like leg presses, leg day, for like 2 to 3 days, I used to be walking like I was in pain all the time. I looked like a toy soldier the way I would walk. Now I literally wake up the next day feeling like I could do it again. A little sore, but not, it's incredible the recovery rate that I'm getting. I didn't feel that way the first week. Like I started to, I was like, I think I'm recovering, but it could have been a little placebo. Now I know without a shadow of a doubt that I am recovering better. And peptides amplify natural production. So the CJC-1295 and Ipamorelin, it's going to boost your own growth hormone and your IGF-1 levels. You're getting 2 extra pulses throughout the day. If you want to know what my protocol is for that, I'll link in the description a video that I made on what protocol you should be using for that. If you have any questions on this, you can go to myrecomposition.com and you can reach out to us there. And then, in my opinion, this is just essential for anyone with an aggressive cut, whether if you've been a bodybuilder, you've been in a bulk, and now you're going to do a cut, you don't want to lose all that muscle you just built, boom, this is going to help you. So you might wonder, how about this versus tesamorelin? Well, here's the problem, is that tesamorelin, even though it's very powerful, and I am going to be doing a cycle with it, it was designed to cut visceral fat in HIV patients, and it's approved through the FDA for that. The problem is that it's very expensive and doesn't last as long because the actual amount that you have to take in order to reach what the clinical approvals were for, you'll go through vials, every week or two. And it's like $300 for a vial of it. So while it's very good, there's nothing wrong with it. And I am going to cycle it. It is one of those things where it's like, I want to get on something that I'm going to feel comfortable just staying on. And I'm already taking all these other things and spending, $600 to $800 in peptides regularly. I don't know that I necessarily want to add it. I don't know that it's actually needed. If I did get it, I would use it just at night, and I would still use my CJC in the morning, because I feel like this current split dose is very, very powerful for me. If you guys want to learn more, like I said, I'll link a video here that I made on my protocol. Everything that I'm doing is through research that I've done, but I am not a doctor. I have no affiliation. I am literally a software owner. That is what I do by trade, but this is so much fun to me. This is my passion. This is so, it's like you have what you do for work, and then you have what you really want to do. This is what I really enjoy doing. So if you like this, please do me a favor, subscribe to the video. It helps me. What I would like to do is to be able to grow this channel and continue to provide value for you guys. Hopefully you guys are having an awesome day, and thank you very much.